now happy to announce Mohamed Yeslem Filali. He will senior advisor on affairs and delivery of growth, and he will share the ideas on the carbon market and the development framework in working. Please, and you also have a chance to visit me in Germany, so we know that I'm serious about what I'm talking. Please, go ahead. Your Excellency, honorable and distinguished guests, I will do it in English, but now let's explore that it's something that is very dear to us, that I've been in my country for years, and we have links and people like this, but there is some difficulties because when you cannot professional activity, which the competence implementations are always fantastic. I hope I'm going to continue for 1 or 2 minutes. As I said, it is both a pleasure and honor to address you today. Over the recent years, my focus will be more from the side of agroforestry that we have been able to take on the context of this decided product and putting the framework of our strategy. Over the recent years, the Kenya has pursued a strategy of accelerated growth and shared prosperity articulated November January 13 years ago, guided by clear priorities. One is structural transformation, the second is job creation, the third is resilience, and the third one is mobilization of innovative sources of finance. And it is a project that what Mr. Profit has commented for the structural funding of this project. Our economy has maintained a solid trajectory with real GDP growth for the last 20 years averaging 3.8%, but the last 5 years we have been around 6%, so we are doubling our growth. This is not enough because we started from very low, so our need is 10% global in order to really change our country, and I think we are working towards it. At the same time, our fiscal position has strengthened significantly with the return to positive plan and balance. I'm talking about the extracted balance. Since 2015, a strong culture of the last 10 years, I would say, the culture of fiscal discipline has contributed to a reduction in the public debt ratio to below 50%. So if you look at the region, and if you look at the world right now, and you compare the debt accumulated around the world, and the world GDP, you find it very, very alarming. And if you look at your countries around that, you will see, I'm not giving you an example, that the debt is high, and there are some fiscal risks. In our case, we are under 50%, and that is the shipping. And it is one of the 2022, I think we looked very, very sustainably. However, we must also recognize the structural constraints that continue to weigh on our growth potential. There are some difficulties that we are aware of, and I think we are working very hard to overcome such things. The first one is the quality of elected capital. This is the tool, I'm sure we continue and so on, but everyone has there is a correlation between the capital of the water and the growth. We are aware of it in our development to achieve. And we have a limited space, even as we are in the different we have a limited space. Due to perhaps Germany, for instance, the tax indicated areas are 48, I guess. The average of the waste is 24. We are at 50%. Otherwise, high level of informality, which is a structural problem that we have in the country. It's around 50 to 52% of our economy and around 80% of our development. We have a demographic pressure. We are a very small country, but anyway, we have 2.9 to 3% of our population. That's means that our growth will grow above 3% in order to keep the per capita at the same level. And this is the reason I try to call that we are still 16.8, 6.3 the last quarter, but our need is more than 12%. And the bigger whole is 7%. That's means that we import a lot, and every quantity has a very huge component of external currency. So when we grow, we should grow also our exploitation of this external component. And this external constraint is particularly important today. For every 1 increase in GDP, our import increases by 2%. And this is very, very, very it's very technical, but if we grow our economy 1%, our imports will grow around 2%. And this can be very dangerous if the growth is based on an activity that has a huge component have person. And this is capacity of experiment transport credit. And there are many examples around the world in agriculture. So not always the growth is a solution. Sometimes we don't have countries that spend huge investments in, for instance, electricity or energy, and this has not a positive effect because the country has a very macroeconomic problems. And why? Because every kilowatt more of electricity, huge part of it country consumption is to the production. What happened? The inflation went up, and they had currency exchange, or what we call external shock. This creates significant economic leakage and places additional pressure on foreign exchange reserves. And this is what I meant to do. It is precisely in this context that the carbon market represents a unique source of opportunity. It enables us to transform activity traditionally received as cost into sources of economic value. This approach is fully aligned with the first pillar of our development strategy. And this is the background we have a strategy for our development started around 2016 and to the end of 2030. And we have some goals of objectives and this project around the when agricultural projects reduce emissions or increase carbon sequestration, they generate measurable and very few carbon credits. For Mauritania, this is not to the environment, but plenty is also a backward development. First, it improves profitability of the whole investment. regular expansion of strongly external positions, so that means that you are high accuracy and still the right accuracy, not something significant. As it happens with our massive exposure from mining and fisheries and so on. At the microeconomic level, this investment will directly strengthen the value chain as a initial trigger, increase farm profitability, and create productive employment. And this is hugely important when we know that our job market receives around 19 million new demands every year. And our capacity to absorb these 90,000, it's so important not only from the economic perspective, but from social cohesion, and not only aspect of our passion, but also social cohesion factor. At the macro level, they address, the present address, one of the most important liabilities, food security. And this to be the number, we report 17% of the world. And this is the language from 70 perspective. And from it is the grading of the economic balance importantly, the benefits are not only financial, even we are looking at it from the perspective. This strategy or this kind of product creates genuine social thinking and directly support the second pillar of our development strategy. We have our strategy divided into segments. It strengthens the human capital, promotes social inclusion, and creates a secure hierarchy of vision that is still reflected today in the market. In the carbon market, we are not simply promoting development programs, and we are saying that the estimation of revenues can be around $350 to $850 million. If you take it into consideration and do that from the perspective of GDP around 12 million, as I said, we are building in this country a transparent, wisdom, and credible frame that demonstrates Mauritania's commitment to sustainable environment. And this is going to, when we designed the strategy in engineering, we decided that the way we would take to be sustainable. We understood that there was a change, we understood that we had to innovate in our funding, and because the carbon market is one of the most important funding sources for our country. By the way, we have one project that is working 70%. I think it's in a lot of project. So we have a small experience in when we create carbon market. And it also really introduced the tax reform last year. So that's meaning that this project gets in or is small, really important, and then really what we started doing in the future. We are demonstrating that accelerated economic growth can go hand in hand with